Well, what's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday evening to you. Hope you're doing well wherever you're at in the world. I'm excited to be back. Last week I was a little sick. I don't know. I get sick like every month lately. I don't know what it is. We had a lot of pollen. If you were here in Orlando, you know that like every car, every build, everything you went to was like covered in yellow, and everybody I knew had a stuffy nose. But like it affects my vocal cords, and so I asked you guys in the community notes over on our page. I said like, what do I need to do to make sure that this doesn't keep happening to me? And you guys had a bunch of good home remedies, which I tried a few of them and knocked it out, which was cool. But I think I just got to drink more water. I'm used to drinking something else, I guess coffee most of the time is what it usually is. But you guys, your home remedies and I guess a little bit extra water is going to help out. So I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. We're going to talk about some really big news over in the Disney resort area. We're going to talk about some massive news actually that's going on that I'm excited about. I actually talked about it on my YouTube channel about a year ago about some things that I thought were going to happen. And it's cool to see that those actually are finally coming to pass. But for one thing, I wanted to talk about first off, and we got a bunch of people finally pouring in here. I don't know if I have a little bit of a delay on my live feed here, but let me know. We got Joseph checking in already from Joseph and Robin checking in from Eastern North Carolina. We got Joel checking in from New York City, but my family has a home in Lake Nona, which is awesome. And yeah, definitely, by the way, if you don't know, we start out every show asking you guys, where's everybody watching from? Because we love to put out content that is useful for the audience. This channel is definitely not for me, but it's for you guys, answering questions about all things Orlando. And so that's my goal, is to keep you guys in the know. So let's keep going down here. Everybody's checking in. We got Kevin checking in from some Lakeland. Good to see you, my friend. Tuesday checking in from Montgomery, Alabama. Okay, aka the Gump. Is that like that's not just on the that's cool. I didn't know that. That's actually what's going on. Pickles is checking in from Mineola, and welcome back. I hope you're feeling better. I definitely am. Thank you very, very much. Kristen, what's going on? We shot some content over in Winter Park today. That was fun. CK is checking in from New Jersey. Uh, Perry says tequila and lemon, checking in from Sacramento, California. Yeah, next time, my friend, I will definitely give that a go. Kelly checking in from Oviedo. I so appreciate it. Let's see. Mally checking in from Eagle Creek, Lake Nona. I love that area. And My Fair Play checking in from Winter Garden. Definitely keep checking in, letting me know where you guys are watching from today. It's so wild. So in our office here, the building is about 2 years old, but we moved here about a year ago and built out the studio and all that good stuff. And It was so hot last year. Like our AC just for whatever reason would never keep up with the building. And so last week they finally got it working, but it's now broken in the opposite direction. We got in here today and it was 58 degrees. And so now I'm literally feeling like I'm shivering. You ever like get to a place where you're so cold, like your hands don't work as fast as they should? So we need to get Train out here tomorrow to fix it. But so if I look like I'm chilly, I'm still in Florida, but it's just ridiculously cold. What's going on, Rob from Nashville? I appreciate you checking in. Element checking in from the house in Kissimmee. I so appreciate it. Matthew checking in from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I love the how broad our audience is, by the way. We've got people from all over the country, which is so cool, and right here locally. But let's talk about this new development that I am really excited about. First and foremost, our good friend over, Laura Kinsler from the Growth Spotter. She is a research sleuth. She's so good at sussing out some of these really cool stories that I talk about. So if you haven't checked out the Growth Spotter and or Orlando Sentinel, but specifically the Growth Spotter, make sure you do so. But massive new hotel and entertainment district on the way. Oh, what happened here? There we go. And he's back. Massive new development and hotel entertainment district headed to the Disney area. The Ovation district would transform the I-4 interchange in Kissimmee. And I absolutely agree. I actually did a video on this over on our channel right here 8 months ago. And I talked about the Kissimmee area and what was actually coming. I'll show you some of the visuals of what this used to look like before we talk about what it's going to look like. All right, so this is what it looks like currently. It is an absolute eyesore off of 192. So this is I-4 right over here, and you got 192 kind of below us here. That it just looks like. How much money would it take you to go jump in that pool right now? I'm not sure. You definitely come out with a third eye. All right, so we talked about this about a year ago. What was potentially happening? It was pending, and at the time, I didn't know what was going on. I kept asking the owner, and they said, "Hey, we're under NDA. We can't talk about what's going on, but it will be cool." Well, now we know what's actually going to happen, and so Laura has sussed this out. Massive new hotel, and this is what it looks like. So down here, you can see this is actually 192. For those of you watching on YouTube here, you can see 192 is towards the south here, and then you've got over to the northwest is I-4. You can see it in the distance. Now, this is really close to Disney Springs, and obviously, if you don't know the area, I'll tell you, it's right across the street from Celebration. And so if you live in Celebration, you pour out onto 192, and this is like this blighted, disgusting hotel. It used to be, I think this was is it a Marriott? Let's see. It's an old Hyatt restaurant or old Hyatt hotel. And there's actually some, like, if you go look on YouTube, there's a whole person that went through and did like video of what it looks like now, like all disgusting, and the buildings inside, and like I think they call it, what is it, urban exploring or something like that. They're definitely not supposed to be there. They were trespassing. But here's what actually is coming. And so one of the biggest blights in Orlando tourism corridor will be transformed, Laura says, including a 175-foot Ferris wheel that can be seen from I-4. The VP of development for the Myers Group says it's going to be very cool. They've got the Ovation plan is going to take 77 acres. They're going to build it out in one phase. So it's not going to be like, hey, they start the whole project and then 10 years from now it's finally done. They're actually going to do it all together. They've actually gone through the 192 design standards, and I've talked about this in some of our other videos, how the 192 design district, they're trying to kind of chunk it down into different corridors. I think there's 8 or 10 different corridors, and they want to have a very similar cohesive vibe to 192, which right now looks very hosh-posh, right? Like this is where the t-shirt shops are. You've got the Wizards, you've got all this other crazy stuff going on there. And so they're trying to bring some cohesiveness to everything new that comes to the area. They're actually investing in local businesses and saying, hey, if you design it specifically this way, you put a little bit of money into the front of your place, we'll actually give you some improvement money. And so that's what's going on. But what else? What's actually going to be there? So there's actually going to be, from what it appears to be, 700,000 square feet of dining, signature retail, and entertainment uses. Originally, they were actually going to try to put up a ton of multifamily units. And you can kind of see, this is the original, maybe this is the original hotel. Blah, blah, blah. No, this is their final project that they've submitted to the 192 area. Originally, this was going to have a ton of multifamily, meaning like apartment buildings. They had 1,000, what does it say here? There was going to be 1,150 multifamily units, and that's actually been scrapped. Now they're going to have 675 keys, meaning like hotel rooms. They're going to have 3 hotels, plus all the signature dining. And I think this is great. This is just, when I look at this, I'm like, okay, it's going to be a mix of entertainment. Some of these renderings are beautiful. If it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories, so mid-rise kind of thing, just under high-rise. Have a ton of parking in the area. There's going to be a ton of other cocktail lounges and bars and just really great stuff. You're going to have ponds, which will just be retention ponds, but the way that they're designing them are going to be more of a feature than just sort of like a green blob that we see in a lot of the other stuff going on here locally. And then this rendering right here, I think is really cool. You've got 192 from this side. So seeing how this is all going to play out, I'm just really excited. I think that the more of these kind of things help change that I-4 192 area, the better. But I'm going to go back over to the comments and see what's going on. So Clark Norton asks a good question. Hey, Ken, any Golden Oak condo updates? Yeah, there's a crane there. They're building them right now. I still need to ask, you know who you are. If you're watching live, shoot me a text. Let me know if there's anything coming on. But I know that there's somebody that they're going to be releasing pricing, it appears, sometimes this year. And my guess is that over the next year, they would be finished, year to 18 months. But the crane's there, the foundation is going in, but no pricing or anything like that I know of off the top of my head. Dave says, what's going on from K-Haw 4 Seasons? I just gave you a shout out in a most recent, like, retiring to Orlando. Dave says, yeah, hey, that Hyatt actually used to have a conference center. It did. Yeah. I mean, it's rough. Watch the urban, trespassing dude. It's wild to see how things can go from like a usable, really cool conference center and hotel to what it is today. Let's see. KK Ukern, checking in for Philadelphia, working with Liz, hopefully to be hanging out in the Horizon West Claremont area in the near future. Well, that's awesome. I'm so excited for you. What's up, Cam? How's your new coming in late? That's okay. Better late than never. Hope your new home in Claremont's doing well. Dave's checking in from loves some Nashville, he says. Robert's, good evening from the UK. It is very late for you. And so if I'm helping you go to bed, hopefully it's not because of boredom, but because of my smooth voice that now is back instead of sounding like a frog. What else is going on in that 192 area, that whole strip there? At the Orlando Reel, we actually put a whole thing on like the new Nickelodeon Hotel to be open in Everest Place. I know this is something that Laura at the Growth Spotter is also super excited about. But going through what I'm really excited about as just like Nickelodeon old school fandom, if you will. There are going to be a lot of really cool like studio 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom condos. This is going to be over at Everest Place. But here's what the old Nickelodeon Hotel used to look like, if you remember this one. And then this is the new renderings of the Nickelodeon Hotel that's going to be just down on 192 over on like 429 area. Just really over, it's actually closer to Winter Garden than it is anything else. But this is going to be part of the Everest Place development, which is going to sell condotels. They're going to have a mixture of like health. They've got the Misk Hotel. It's going to be a really cool elevated experience. And this is the stuff that I get excited about. This is the stuff I nerd out about for sure. What's going on? Good to see you live as well. I appreciate you hanging out. Dave says, what's the latest on Everest? Well, there you go. They're moving dirt, but slowly. This is the thing. I live not too far from here. At least I do drive by Everest every single day. And you're right. It feels like there's at least 10 different bulldozers every single day. And they move a pile from here and then they move it over here. I'm sure they're obviously working on infrastructure and all that kind of stuff, but nothing going vertical. As soon as it goes vertical, we will definitely send our drones out and make sure that we capture all of that, because I think as a Nickelodeon Hotel comes along, and really like anytime someone's spending $1 billion in one area, I want to know about it and I want to watch it. It's pretty cool. Speaking of $1 billion in one area, make sure you check us out over on Instagram, the Orlando Reel. We put out a new drone video of Epic Universe, and we've been doing these like weekly. We put out a new one, and there's some really cool advancements going on, and how fast Epic Universe is coming along is one of the coolest things to watch happen in front of our eyes. I wasn't around living here when Islands of Adventure opened, but just getting to think about what that was like and the anticipation, and to be able to actually follow along and watch that go up is really, really cool. By the way, I'm going to go into some other development news that I'm excited about. We're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about some Sunbridge news. There's a huge Sunbridge kind of thing going on in the news over the past week. Very interesting to me. And we're going to do a real estate update. But along the way, if you guys have questions about areas or builders or just really anything about Orlando, I'd love to answer those questions along the way as well. Stephen Windermere asks, hey, would you prefer 2 investment properties in Horizon West or 1 in Dr. Phillips? Well, Steve, I guess you guys ask yourself a couple questions. 1, are you going to self-manage? Is this going to be something that you take advantage of yourself? I would factor in all of the numbers for closing costs and how far your money is actually going to get. I like the idea of 2 in Windermere. If it's the exact same price, I would love to just like be able to hedge my bets, I guess, the 2, if you will. But in Horizon West, I think you've got a lot of upside there. But Dr. Phillips is fantastic as well. All the development coming into that area. I mean, there's really not a lot of new like residential development anymore. You've got like O-Town West on the commercial side, and there's some other stuff coming to Restaurant Row, which is really exciting, but really no more residential. And so you're capped at that point. Being that like you're going to have something that a lot of people want. And so I think all things equal, you got to run your numbers based on the management costs is what I would focus on, because 2 could potentially get a little bit more expensive. Let's see. BD from Canadian from Alberta. I'm on the way to Orlando tomorrow. I love the city and can't wait to convince my wife to move there. Well, best of luck. I don't know. It's like 82 degrees today and kind of perfect. So you're bringing her at a good time. What's going on, my friend Chris down in Miami? Good to see you. Coffee, Ken. I've got just some water tonight, actually. Just trying to keep my voice going. HQB says, keep seeing so many people discouraging people to move to Florida, especially to buy a home. Is it bad, or is the dream still achievable? I'm looking to relocate to Claremont next year. Well, listen, it's definitely not as cheap as it once was. And so if you're hoping to come here and it be like extremely cheap, it's just not. But nowhere is cheap, I feel like, anymore. Like anywhere, even where I came from in Michigan, like the home values there doubled since we left. And so I think a lot of things are relative. But there are a lot of really great places. We're going to be putting on a video in 2 weeks about the most affordable places to live in Orlando. And so if you're moving to Orlando on a budget, this video will be for you. Um, but I would just tell you, listen, like, afford, like, there's no state income tax. The weather's incredible. Real estate's more expensive than it used to be. Rent's more expensive than it used to be. So make sure you run your numbers and check it out. If you're willing to make a little bit of a drive, like if you're willing to make a 45-minute drive or an hour-long drive, there's still plenty of really great options for you as well. Let's see. Let's see. Dave says, have I ever considered profiling all the lakes in the Lakeland area so many lake homes and still affordable? Yeah, actually part of the affordable housing video that we're doing is going to like Winter Haven, Haines City, not as far as Lakeland, just because we don't service that area. And I try to only talk about areas that I know about. Although as we expand as a company, Ocala more, Lakeland more, Cocoa Beach more, we will be probably doing more content out that way. But yeah, you're right. Lakeland is definitely more affordable, and just really all of Polk County. There's more homes under $450,000 in Polk County than really anywhere when I would consider Central Florida. Joel, my friend, says, any updates on businesses are coming to Lake Nona West, but no, and by the way, thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. No, and from what I understand, that there are active conversations with a lot of different leases going on. And so there's going to be more of a slew of what's coming to the area. And I do believe it's going to be pretty exciting. So as soon as I know, I promise you, you will know. Go Wickless with Mel. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Well, Mel, any update on the W Hotel coming near Icon Park? Yeah, so we did a whole story about it over on the Orlando Reel as well. They're finally moving forward. And so what I understand is that they're going to be breaking ground later this year. And again, it's going to be at least an 18-month or so build out. I think it was 2026 that they're looking to finally finish out the W. But the fact that they're moving forward, I'm very excited about it. Again, it's going to be a concert venue / I think there's like 2,000 seats or so that are going to be in their convention center, plus the restaurants, plus the bars, plus it's just a beautiful hotel. I love the W brand in general. So yeah, I think it's awesome. Ken says, do I perceive Trinity Lakes in Groveland being a good investment opportunity? Listen, I think Groveland in general is definitely more of an affordable opportunity. And I think today Groveland is like the next Claremont in some ways. It's not as big as Claremont, obviously, but it's like just farther out to where people are like, oh, maybe Groveland's kind of far. But that's what Claremont felt like 3 years ago. And that's what Horizon West felt like 8 years ago. And so if you are looking for something a little bit more affordable, and I do think that when you look at the 516 coming in and you look at all of the other roads going in, it's going to become more and more accessible, which then makes pricing go up. And I think that's a great thing. So Trinity Lakes, obviously, any kind of time you have a higher homeowners association, you need to pay attention to that if you're looking strictly for investments kind of standpoint. But I think that if you're down with the location, jump on it. Let's see. Dave says it was 89. Oh, it was 89 today. That's right. It was a little wild. Liquid Ice says, do all new construction homes have a CDD? Specifically thinking about new construction in Horizon West area. Any other hidden fees on new construction? Yeah, so there are some with no CDD. I'd have to get a list for you because I know that there's a few, but not there are some going in that have CDDs, and I don't want to misquote which neighborhoods do and don't, but we have a whole list on our team with new construction. It's funny that you mentioned this because specifically there were a few people reaching out today, builders, saying that was like one of their leading value propositions, because they said, hey, if our taxes are cheaper, then our homes are more affordable. What was the person I'm looking right now? Let's see. This is like more. This was actually today. Meritage Homes, CDD, HOA fees paid for the first year. Now through March 31st, when your client purchased at Deer Lake Estates, will pay their CDD. Oh, they have a CDD. They're just willing to pay for it. That's wild. That's not real. We don't want that. But no, there definitely are. And I think you look at some of the farther out neighborhoods that have already been developed, they don't need to then have the bond money to pay for the development, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Other hidden costs, there's a lot of transfer fees to know about. If you're buying new construction, in the contract, it will say that you as the buyer are typically paying for the seller, being the builder's transfer tax. Now that's a big number. It could be 1.5% or so. There's other neighborhoods. Laureate Park comes to mind. You have a transfer fee when you go in, you have a transfer fee when you sell. And sometimes those are like, $800 to $1,100 coming in and going out. So new construction's great. I think right now there's a lot of incentives for builders to incentivize you to pull the trigger and buy something, which is great. But just make sure that you are really clear. I mean, those contracts are like this thick. And so, work with an agent. We'd love to help kind of navigate that through, but whether you use us or anybody else, just make sure you understand exactly what you're getting into. Gentle says, hey, glad I can make the stream. Thank you for the updates. Of course. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to keep going. There's a ton of them here coming in, and please keep doing that. I really appreciate it. But I do want to get to a couple other things that I thought were kind of interesting. So going back to, we already talked about the Nickelodeon Hotel, which is coming in, which I'm super stoked about. And then down the road, you've got Evermore, which if you haven't been there or you haven't seen this, it's got 10,000 rooms, which that to me kind of blew me away when I started thinking about it. And the amenities there are quite wild. But again, just the overall like leveling up of Orlando and what we have to offer, I think is very, very cool. But here's one that I would like snuck by me, and I'm upset about it because this is one of my favorite experiences that I've ever done. This story is a month old yet, and I hadn't, other than this one article that I happened to come upon, I hadn't heard about it. But it says, is Disney World reviving its shuttered Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser? So there was, some people had sent some permitting to me, and it wasn't really clear on like what they were actually working on and what they were doing. It just said, hey, there's work being done, and we're going to be spending a little bit of money. Nothing crazy. It was, many of us were speculating it was just kind of like they were putting a big old tarp over the building or something. But then, oh gosh, let's restart this thing. But then it goes on to say that they actually asked Josh D'Amaro, like, hey, what's going on over there? And he said, hey, no hints yet, but something is going to happen. And so to me, that means they might be reviving that one way or the other. So if you've ridden the Galactic Starcruiser, best experience in Orlando, in my opinion. They said that bookings would, let's see, Star Wars Galactic Cruiser, this actually came from Disney, said that bookings would be temporarily paused and potentially reopen May 26th of 2024. And yet, that's coming up in 2 months. And so I'm just excited. I don't know. I'm like, I saw this. I wasn't even going to add it at first. And I'm like, I got anything that I'm excited about, I want to tell you guys about. So let me know what you think. What, if you are to experience this, if you live here already, I think staycations are one of the coolest things that we get to do. I get texts often and people ask, hey, where are you going for the summer? And like we travel, we've been to Alani, we've been all over. I'm traveling and speaking for real estate and that kind of thing. But we just love living here, and staycations are part of the jam. Like part of the reason we love being here are just to take advantage of all the amenities here. And I just think it's kind of cool. I think it's pretty fun. Oh, see that? I got a little stuffy nose because it's 100. It's 50 below in my office. Tim says, hey, it's been a long time since I've tuned into your live. Well, I appreciate you hanging out. How did I obtain the monorail door? That is so cool. So there's actually a guy, he's in California and he does auctions online. I can send it to you. Shoot me a DM on Instagram and I'll send you the guys. He has an email newsletter as well. And so as he acquires stuff, sometimes he just sells it right away. And so a friend of mine had turned me on to this guy like 3 or 4 years ago. And he has like theme park used stuff that comes from auctions and come from warehouses, and I hope it doesn't fall off the back of the truck, you know what I mean? But this one came from an old auction that this guy repurposed and sold. So we had it delivered, and then anybody that goes live with me or visits me from out of town, we have them sign the door. We've got a little plastic black thing over the door, but it's a fun little piece for sure. Let's see. Sorry, going so different. There we go. Liquid Ice says, thanks. I'll reach out and let me know about the CDD. Can be a big cost savings to not have one. You're absolutely right. celebrations, I feel like, is like $400 to $500 a year. So when you look at the overall cost of taxes on a CDD versus non-CDD, it's maybe 10% or so. But I mean, heck, everything adds up. Devin asks, "Hey Ken, any updates on O Town West, the Tao Hotel, Nobu?" So Nobu is that is one I was going to talk about, but this whole thing it's not even it's the website. Orlando Sentinel's website needs a little bit of a little zhuzh. If you guys are watching, I know some of you do. Got to work on your servers. But it does appear that things are moving forward. There's been no like movement on the land. And that's actually, I went to the Orlando Economic Partnership had their barbecue, which sounds a little silly because, you know, you think about backyard barbecue, but this thing was a blowout. There's like 1,000 people that show up. It's like every like city council people and business person. And they're constantly asking me like, "Hey, what's going on with that thing you mentioned 2 years ago?" And I'm like, I know, like, I'm just mentioning it when it launches and when they have the idea approved. And then the amount of things that actually come through and get to finish line, I feel like is 60%. I should go quantify that a little bit more. But it's like, as a developer, they say, "Hey, I've got this idea. I want to go to the city, get it approved, go to the county, get it approved." And then once it's approved, that doesn't mean that it's actually going to go through. And so to me, once stuff starts going vertical, then I'm like, here we go, finally. And so that's when we start covering it a little bit more aggressively, especially over on Instagram where we do our drone videos and that kind of cool stuff. Dave says he drove through Evermore and it's massive. The thing is incredible. They redid the golf course over there as well. It's just absolutely incredible. Frank says, "Do I think that Orlando would ever consider an electronic tram system? It's possibly even solar powered through the Sunshine State." Dude, I wish that was actually the case. Unfortunately, I just don't think so. I think they're adding more toll roads. They're adding more, little bit of everything else. And speaking of that, like everybody talks about these new developments coming and how there's already a ton of traffic and what else is going on. If you didn't hear this already, I'm very excited about this. They're spending Florida Department of Transportation is now spending $2.5 billion on road construction. They are adding toll lanes in the middle of I-4. But listen, even if you don't use those toll lanes, that's okay because it takes some people off of the road, at least so that there's not as many. They're also doing a lot of advanced work. They had this plan together. This was like the ultimate I-4 ultimate. This was up here. Let me just make this a little bit larger for you to be able to see. That the I-4 Ultimate, which opened in 2022. This is 21 lanes. This is already open. And then they've got the I-4 Beyond the Ultimate, which they're already working on right here. This goes all the way through Lake Buena Vista. And so this is where the traffic hits though, right? This blue line, if you're watching, from Lake Buena Vista down through Reunion and Davenport down into Polk County. This is where it gets insane, right? Like this is where everybody's going to Airbnb cities and Champions Gate and that sort of thing. And it's impossible to get through traffic in this area now. So they had this whole idea of like, hey, over the next 25 years, we will add new off ramps and new bridges, and we'll do the toll road, and we'll do add a lane, and then now they're going back to your question on the train. They're doing the Bright Line. They're going to save some space on I-4 to leave the Bright Line all the way down through Tampa. And so it's going to be 25 years. I'm like, I'm going to be freaking 75 by the time this thing finally finishes. Well, now they've decided to invest a ton more money and invest a lot quicker and bring a more cohesive plan. Because before it was like all of these small little things that they would add up over time. Now they said, hey, let's just lump all of these together, get all this money from the federal government and the state, make sure that we've got this in control, and let's move it. So now it's going to be done in 10 years, which better than 25. We put out some stuff in again over on Instagram and TikTok, and people were saying in the comments, well, like 10 years is, it's too little too late. I'm like, well, at least they're doing something. Because could you imagine that if 10 years goes by and they had done nothing and all of these people continue to move here? Who knows? It's going to help. I do know I was in Maitland yesterday and I had to get down to the Disney Springs area pretty quickly. I used the toll road and I was there in like 20 minutes, and that would have taken me 50 minutes before. And so I don't know. I'm a fan. I know it costs money and all that kind of stuff, but better than nothing. Winston checking in from the Space Coast. Did you hear about this new bill, Winston, that it looks as though that they're going to be taking kind of some business away from Cape Canaveral and opening up all of Florida to be able to do more space business. This is going to go, I guess it passed the House and Senate for the state. And it's going to go for the governor to sign. This happened, I saw an alert earlier today, but apparently down in Miami, there's going to be some stuff that will open up, and up over in the Panhandle, there's going to be some other opportunities for people to take advantage of the space race and everything that's going on. I'm kind of bummed about that because I do love having Cape Canaveral be the place over on the Space Coast, but I don't know. Let me know what you think, being that you're in that world. Norman Allen says, "Hey, does Disney abandon that building over in Lake Nona?" So there was really no building there. There was land, and they've stopped their construction moving forward. Like, they haven't actually moved forward to do anything. They still own it. And so from what I understand, that if they don't develop it in one way or the other in a certain amount of time, I don't know the exact amount of years, that it actually is going to revert back to the developer at a certain number. And so my guess is that they're going to hang on to it for a while. If they were never going to develop that land, then they would probably already sold it back to the developer, but they're still sitting on it. And so I think that once they get through all of the other stuff, if you look at what's going on with Disneyland Forever over in Anaheim, they're spending $1.5 billion over there. It'll be interesting to see what happens here in Orlando, that's for sure. But they've just stopped working and stopped relocating people here for the time being. D. Hawkins says, "Well, I attend the 326 meeting about the Disney apartments. I'm for the apartments, but it seems that most of my neighbors don't want apartments. What are your thoughts?" So D. Hawkins is talking about the affordable housing project over in Horizon West. And so my thoughts are, apartments are going to go there anyways. The affordable housing part, I'm not really sure. I mean, they're small. They're just small micro apartments that make them more affordable. And to get into 70% of those apartments, you have to make 50% or 100% of the average income for Orlando, which to me, I'm like, I don't know. I'm most concerned with transportation, schooling, and safety. And so I think safety is not, I don't think is going to be a problem. Schooling, they're building a ton of different schools up and down Avalon. Those entitlements were already there for new apartments. And so I'm not super stressed about it, as some other people are, but I know a lot of people are very upset about it. Anytime you talk about affordable anything, people just lose their mind. Oh, speaking of the affordable thing, before I move on, I look at, like, Disney's not really behind. Like, they say it's Disney's affordable housing, and so most people think like, oh, Disney's going to own it and run it. They're not. They own that land already, and they're doing a land lease to the developer for free. My guess is that it's free or almost no money, and so they're making the cost so inexpensive that the developer can build these buildings and then offer the affordable rates but again, it's not like they're going to be 2,000 square foot apartments at a low rate. It's like, some of these are micro apartments or 500 square feet. Like, if you go to IKEA and it's like, what does it look like to live in 700 square feet? That's what this is going to be, in many cases. And so, listen, I think we need affordable housing, especially for all of these people that work at Disney right there in the backyard of Horizon West. And as somebody that owns property in Horizon West, I'm not just like saying that. That's how I feel as a local. Harrison, no, I mean, so any update on the Disney's once rumored 55 community in Sunbridge? No update there. Although I thought it would have been really, really dope. I understand Disney's a tough one to work with land, but I'm just kidding. I don't know. Nothing's moving forward as of right now. So let's talk about this. So this is one thing that has been my most requested thing over the past week, was what do I think about the Sunbridge conversation? And so for those of you that don't know, Sunbridge is this I'm blocking it. Okay, so Sunbridge is this massive piece of land. It's 20,000+ acres, and it covers from Orange County down into Osceola County, this massive area here. Right now, you can take this road into Sunbridge. You got base camp. You've got all this other cool stuff. And it's in Osceola County. Now you've got the county up here, and the way that our developers work, or developments work. There we go. The way developments work in Orlando, you've got stuff that's, it might have an Orlando address, but it's run by the county. It's in like unincorporated Osceola County or unincorporated Orange County. If you look, if you know where like right behind Magic Kingdom is, there's this neighborhood by Mattamy called Legato. It's a Windermere address, but technically you're in like no man's land for Orange County. It's very weird because where I'm from, it was like, hey, if you lived in this city, this is the city who owns it. The county didn't really get in control, but because so much of Orange County and Osceola County was undeveloped, some stuff gets run by the county, other stuff gets run by the city. Now, Tavistock, they're the developer behind Lake Nona, and they've done an amazing job there, in my opinion. It owns the Sunbridge area. Now they're basically trying to annex the Orange County piece into the city of Orlando and kind of take it away from the county. And so, there's some back and forth about it. The county said, well, no, we really want to keep that. We want to own it. My guess is just for the fees and stuff that they're going to get. And the city of Orlando says, hey, listen, we've had an amazing experience with you guys over at Lake Nona. We'd love to have you. So there's been votes back and forth. It seems as though my guess is that it's going to go forward. But the question I want to answer for you today that people were asking me the most of is, what does this mean for my home value if I've already bought in Sunbridge? So I think about this very objectively. Like, I'm a real estate agent, yes, but I own property all over Central Florida. And like, if I was a homeowner and I lived in Sunbridge, I owned in Sunbridge, and all of a sudden the unincorporated Orange County was now as part of the city of Orlando, I actually think that's helpful. I think that, if things can get developed quicker or pricing there goes up, even if I'm down in the Osceola portion, it's going to help. And so I think that this is a good thing. I think this is like a positive. The faster we can get roads developed and we can get property developed and all these kind of things, the better. And so if I lived there, I'd be thinking that this is good. And so we'll see what happens. Like, there's so much politics behind this that I have no idea about, that I'm not involved in. And so I guess we're going to see just how it shakes out overall. I'm going back to your questions because you guys have so many cool ones, and I love this. Dave says, glad I was able to catch a live stream. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Going back to the affordable housing, Sion guy says it's mainly for working class, which is needed for the area. I totally agree. You look at also, it's funny, not funny, ironic or whatever. Literally less than a mile away, Disney has Flamingo Crossings for the cast member housing, which is affordable housing. It's already there. Now, many of those they're college kids, and maybe they're not taxing on schools and that kind of thing. But the developer for the Disney housing program is paying the impact fees, meaning they're going to be investing back into schools and roads and infrastructure and all that, which is good. But Flamingo Crossing, which is gorgeous, by the way, like I wish that I could have been a Disney cast member living at that place. The amenities there are just incredible, but I think leveled up the area more so. D. Hawkins says, I have great influence, and come join me if you're there. I think it'll be a great way for families and individuals in a great, safe place. Yeah, no, I think it's the 26th. I'll take a look. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, my friend. Every time I see you pop up, I'm always thinking about Run Disney, which I tried to get into for Wine and Dine. I was on there for an hour, and then it just locked me out. I'm like, this will be the first Disney race that I completely miss. That I sign up for and completely miss anyways. Keith says, hey, will the video on affordable housing cover single family homes, 300,000 to 400,000? I'm coming from Jersey and trying to decide where to move. How do I decide if Orlando is right for me? So yeah, that's exactly what the affordable housing thing is going to be. Single families and probably some townhomes that are on the affordable side, in that probably 450 and under. Well, it is 400. That's how we designed the video, 450 and under, which might sound insane, but with that 450 is affordable. But single family home, nice, 450 and under is like, that's the affordable housing as of right now. 250 just doesn't really exist anymore, unfortunately. McLaughlin says, I can't stand this bipolar Ohio weather. Well, come on down, my friend. Omar says 300,000 to 400,000 for single families rough to find these days. That's right. You may have to go to Haines City or Winter Haven. Bingo. Ding ding ding. Dizdad said I didn't get into registration either. Man, it's rough out there for the Run Disney people. I heard there's like, somebody told me that today, I think it was Kristen, if she's still watching, there's like a Slack channel or something like that for when things go live. I need to know more about this. There's like this whole backstory Disney world, not Disney World, but like people that are in the world of Disney that have all these little hacks. Standby skipper, touring plans, all these things that I didn't know about until recently. All right, I want to show you guys a market update. I'm just waiting for the website to go through here real quick. McLaughlin says, I can't wait. I've reached out to Bria a few weeks ago. I'm so excited, man. I'm excited to help. We are as a team. All right, let's talk a little bit about the real estate market here in Orlando. My favorite, my love, my second love. Yeah, my family. All right, so what's going on in the Orlando real estate markets? You look at, this is our market watch, and kind of gives us the health of what's going on in Orlando, the heartbeat, if you will. And so over the past week, there were, and this is the 5 county areas, Lake, Orange, Osceola, Polk, and Seminole. There were 1,600 new houses to hit the market, which is great. We are finally in the season where things are starting to move a little bit quicker, and things are coming back on the market. The anemicness of like no listings was rough because right now we're seeing a lot more buyers that are like, hey, interest rates are high 6s. That seems like reality now. So I'm ready to move forward. And yet not a lot of houses on the market. So we end up going a lot of times new construction, which is great. But it would be great to have more resale. And so you look at here, there's 1,627 new listings that hit the market. You look here, this is not good. 1,000 sales over that same period. So we want the sales number to be basically the same as the listing number. But when you drop down here to the pending number, this is more accurate because this is like what's actually going to come down the pipeline. There are about 1,500 pendings. So 1,500 pendings to 1,600 new listings to me is a great number. Like that's a really good balance. I like to see that overall. You look at the number of withdrawn properties and or canceled. These are sellers that just got frustrated and they said, we're out of here. We don't want to try anymore. They just gave up. That's kind of frustrating. I could only imagine what it's like to list your house and not actually close. But that number keeps dropping, which means that there's more and more houses actually going off the market, which I think is good. So overall, I think we have a pretty balanced supply of homes going on. I think that there was a study that came out last week that we have something like 4.5 million fewer homes than we need in the country. So that's why new construction is so important. And that's why we focus on so much of it. So yeah, it's interesting. I always tell people ask, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Which is such a loaded question because without knowing where you're at in life, like the realtor who tells you it's always a good time to buy and it's always a good time to sell is not an honest realtor. So I will never say that. You will never hear me say that. What I will tell you is that if you are like stuck in a home where you've got a super low interest rate and you just don't know how to cash out that equity and properly get into another house where you're like, this is the dream house that I really want. There's a lot of ways you can do that. Rate buy downs. There's a lot of cool things, being able to buy before you sell. We've got a lot of cool things like that, depending on where you're at in life. And so there's no one size fits all answer to this. And like, that's why my team and I are here to help you guys decide where it's going on. So let's keep diving in a few more questions. We're going to wrap up. 450,000 D Hawkins says you can still find Orlando, Waterford Lakes, Avalon Park, Hunters Creek, St. Cloud. You can still find it. St. Cloud for sure. Hunters Creek, you're hard pressed to find a nice move-in place in Hunters Creek under 450. Waterford Lakes, maybe. Avalon Park, getting tough. Kim says, did I hear that they're building a Publix in Serenoa? I would believe that if it's closer to the 27 mark over on Serenoa, I would believe it. It needs it for sure. Vicky says, hey guys, what's going on? Omar says, hey, so the Horizon West area is a lot of undeveloped land. Have I heard any new projects coming in for single family housing? Winter Garden has been less affordable and Claremont is heading that way soon. Yeah, there's I can think of 13 new neighborhoods coming in Horizon West right now and or coming online this year. And so that area is going to have plenty of options. And I think that's great because you're absolutely right. Unaffordable areas, if there's a lack of supply, but a lot of demand, then the pricing continues to fly. If there's more and more builders coming online, offering incentives and doing things that make sense, then hopefully, we keep in a more healthy approach with our growth. And so, yeah, there's a lot of them coming online. So I'm wrapping up for today. I do appreciate you hanging out. I'm excited. This 192 area, holy moly, whoever thought that dilapidated piece of land would finally get some life. I'm very excited about it. But let me know down below, what are you most excited about? If you live here already, what's something that you find yourself getting excited about that's coming? And I'll try to keep up to date, keep you guys up to date as well. If you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, whenever the time comes, it might be today, it might be 5 years from now, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Reach out, theorlandoreal.com/YouTube, and we'll get started. But until next time, it was amazing hanging out with you guys. See you soon.